Hey, everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
You're listening to the Sportsman's Nation Podcast Network, brought to you by Interstate Batteries. Now, recently I had a conversation with one of my buddies. He's kind of a truck nut, a car nut, and he told me that Interstate Batteries makes, from a technical standpoint, some of the best car batteries on the market, period, hands down. Not only that, but they have thousands of retail locations all over the United States. So stop in to a local retail store, ask the guy who works there about their car batteries, and hell, you might as well put one in if they're the best in the business. So interstatebatteries.com is their website. Go there, find out more information about the culture of the company, the batteries that these guys carry, or just stop into a local retail store. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable.
My name is Clay Newcomb, and I'm the host of the Bear Hunting Magazine podcast. I'll also be your host into the world of hunting the icon of North American wilderness, the bear. We'll talk about tactics, gear, conservation, but we'll also bring you into some of the wildest country on the planet, chasing bear. I don't know how much you guys are into like modern television. I typically have not been, and I think a lot of people like pride themselves on not being into modern television, but then when you really dig down, you find that there's a lot of stuff that they actually watch and enjoy. Perhaps I've found myself in that category, and I've been caught red-handed because this week on the podcast, we've got a guy who's become a friend of mine that I like, a guy named Cam Spinks. If you know that name, then you have recently been watching The Voice from NBC. The Voice. It's a television show. It's a singing competition. Cam Spinks is from Alabama, and he was at the global headquarters this week. He's a big hunter. Cam is a big whitetail hunter, turkey hunter, duck hunter. We had a really fun conversation with Cam about his experience being on this show called The Voice, and a lot about his hunting experience and his music. And this is just an all-around fun podcast that you're going to enjoy. Be sure to check out our buddies at Northwoods Bear Products. Northwoods makes commercial bear scents, and we've been using them for years. And if you're baiting black bears or brown bears up in Alaska, it makes sense to use the commercial scents. I like their Gold Rush. Also use their powdered products, but they have all kind of stuff. Check out northwoodsbearproducts.net. Well, we're at the global headquarters, Bear Hunting Magazine global headquarters. This is Cam Spinks' first time to the global headquarters.
That's right.
First time to the global headquarters. Man, Cam, okay, before I tell who you are, I've got to tell that you're going to ruin my reputation, okay? I already told him this, so he's ready for it. You're going to ruin my reputation because now everybody is going to know that I keep my pulse on the pop culture, okay?
It's true.
So Cam was on The Voice, Colby.
Yep.
The Voice. And if you know what that is, then you've got your pulse on pop culture.
No doubt.
My wife and I, I'm going to embarrass him. My wife and I we've sort of prided ourselves, Cam, on not watching like mainstream television. And we have for years. Okay, good.
You and me both.
And this year, I guess it was with like just COVID-19 stuff, the kids started watching The Voice.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching, and I got sucked in, man. I got sucked in. And who was up on the screen? I wouldn't have known him. Cam Spinks.
Yeah.
So Cam was on The Voice, and so what was wild was, I'm going to say all this before I even let him talk. So on The Voice they introduce these musicians. So The Voice is well, tell us what The Voice is, Cam.
So The Voice is a singing competition essentially.
Yeah.
And they do try to build up, as far as the beginning of the show every season, when they're introducing all the different artists, they try to, basically fit your whole life into a few minutes.
Right,
just
like
to
a 3
give
minute
people
section.
a brief snapshot of what you're about, And so that's what they did. And I have to say, I felt like I was a whole lot different than most of the other people on that show based on my lifestyle.
So you've took me to the point where when I saw his intro, I immediately said, that dude's a hunter. I said that to my wife, Misty. I said, that dude's a hunter. And then I saw the picture. There was a little section of the video of you with a buck, like a live buck.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that guy's a hunter. I knew it 100%. And
Nailed
then
it.
I went to his Instagram page, and sure enough, it was like full of hunting photos. And I was like, I knew this guy was a hunter. And we watched the whole season. It like came out like once a week for how long is it?
I think it ended up. I can't remember how many weeks it was. Probably they had to kind of condense this season to make it a little shorter than they normally would because of the Olympics. NBC, the network, also had the Olympics scheduled, and so we had a limited amount of time relative to a normal season. I think it was 8 or 10 weeks, I believe.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. And I made it through, I guess, probably half of those before I was eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Olympics obviously didn't happen.
It didn't
and
work
the
out.
show itself almost didn't happen. It was an interesting season, unprecedented season to say the least.
Yeah. Well, so I get on his Instagram page, find out my discernment was absolutely correct. He's
Good
a
job.
hunter. Yep. And then, I don't know, even after that, like months after that, I saw his page again, and I saw that he was in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which, so the whole Voice, they were saying you're from Alabama, and
Yes.
that's exactly where you've grown up.
That's exactly
and you
right.
just moved to Northwest Arkansas.
I did. I moved to Northwest Arkansas in April of this year.
Okay.
Late April, I believe. No. It was beginning of April because it was almost turkey season. Almost turkey season.
And probably not enough time for you to find a gobbler in Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, my gosh. Not for lack of effort, I'll tell you that. We'll get into
Really?
that, I guess. But, I had just come off the heels of an incredible season in Alabama. And
you guys have some turkeys over there.
Oh, we're covered in them. And so, my brother and I, we had just an exceptional turkey season this spring. And so I was like still really, hot on it. And I was like, man, I'm going to go there. I'm going to kill a turkey in Northwest Arkansas, and little did I know. The more research I did and the more miles I logged on all these management areas around here, I realized that, it was about as likely as me killing a bull elk in Northwest Arkansas. Just really slim. But
Well, sounds like you tried. That's cool.
Yeah, I did. Like I said, it wasn't for lack of effort. I went to the Weddington management area.
Okay.
I went to.
Now, see, this is okay to tell because we always talk about how we don't talk about public hunting areas specifically. But if you're telling how there is no game there whatsoever, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
well,
we're okay
tell
with
us
that.
everywhere
I
that
can
you went.
assure you that there were no turkeys to be found anywhere on these management areas, or at least I wasn't lucky enough to stumble across one. But
Yeah.
I logged a lot of miles on Weddington, on Lee Creek, south down 49, and then also on the other side of 49 at White Rock.
Yeah.
And man, just not a track, not a feather, nothing.
Man, I'm impressed that you did
That's a
your
lot of
homework
ground.
to have found all that country.
Yeah, I joined all these forums. I mean, I was hell bent on trying to find a turkey up here. And, like I said, the more research I did, the more people I talked to, the more I understood that if you want to kill a turkey in Arkansas, you need to go south or east.
If you want to kill a turkey in Arkansas, you got to go out of state.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hear Maine's good. I'm just kidding.
Man, so we've introduced how I know you. That's what I wanted to get.
Yep.
And I want to. Man, I'm afraid if we jump into hunting, we'll never go back. Okay,
Probably
so
true.
this is not priority. This the order of conversation is not about priority, because I think once we jump into hunting, we're just going to talk about hunting.
Yeah.
But so I want to go back to the voice.
The
okay?
voice.
So, Cam, you are you a country music artist?
I am. I'm a country music artist. I've been writing and playing for about 10 years now.
Okay.
I was in college and was trying to find some way to not have to work really hard when I got out. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be a musician because they don't look like they have to work very hard.
A musician and a turkey hunter.
I didn't know what I was doing, if we're being perfectly honest. But no, I kind of dove in head first. I've always had kind of a knack for music. I've always loved music, country music in general and in specific. But so I just, dedicated myself to it.
So did you know how to play guitar?
Very little.
You
I
started
taught
when you were in
myself
college?
Yes. I had very limited guitar skills at that age.
Really?
But it always had a guitar around,
Yeah.
like probably half of college guys. But so yeah, I just started picking up guitar. Had some buddies in my fraternity that also played instruments, and one thing led to another, and we started the worst band of all time.
Named.
Good
Oh
question.
boy, the name of that project, you're gonna love it. Our mascot in the fraternity was a buzzard,
Okay.
and so we were the backdoor buzzards. That's
The
what we were.
backdoor
Oh,
buzzards.
man.
The backdoor buzzards. We won't get into that, but that was our name, and we played basements. And that's about it.
In Birmingham, near
Yeah,
Birmingham.
In Birmingham, yeah, we were in Birmingham. And so that was my first project. And then once I got out of college, I was at home working for our family company, and still doing music. Still progressing. And I had I met several other people that I ended up starting another project with, and more legitimate project. We actually played gigs. We played at bars and things like that. And
What was the evolution of this name?
oh man, we kind of dumbed it down for that one. It was just the Cam Spinks band. Against my will, I wanted to come up with something creative and cool, but which we did later on. We ended up morphing into Cam Spinks and the 58s, which that's the first two letters of our tag IDs in Alabama for the county that we lived in. It was 58.
nice. Okay.
And all four of us were from the same county.
Right on.
Okay.
So it was Cam Spinks and the 58s, which I
Yeah.
thought was pretty neat. I wish I could still have a band called the 58s, but anyways, so then that project kind of phased out, and I think that one was I remember exactly what it was. I moved to Nashville. I was in Nashville for about 3 years. pursuing music.
Okay.
Writing. I wanted to be a writer. I didn't want to tour. I didn't want to be an artist. Didn't want to do any of that.
Really? So
I wanted to get a publishing deal and just write songs. That's all I wanted to do. That way I could,
So
I could get up in the morning and go to work, and then by 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I was fishing somewhere.
So that's one of your strengths then.
Absolutely, I would say
Writing
in the entire musical spectrum, I would say that my songwriting is what I think is my biggest strength.
Now that's kind of interesting because I mean, what I learned from watching The Voice is that it's like really top end musicians vocally. It's not necessarily about like what you've written or done, because I mean a lot of these people would some of them weren't even really in band. I mean, like Todd Tillman, was he not even?
He was my good friend Todd.
Yes, yes.
Well, boy, me and Todd hit it off a lot because we're both from the South, and
this is the guy that ended
up winning and actually eliminated me from the competition earlier on.
It's because he had a Travis Tritt song.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
My point is you have a strong voice.
Thank you, and I do. I think I have a pretty good voice, but I'm definitely more proud of my songwriting.
I like that. Okay.
I think I'm a lot more proud of that. There's a lot of people out there with great voices, but I feel like there's a lot less people out there that can write a great song.
Yeah.
I'm a little more proud of that for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a different craft for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what happened in Nashville? Did it not work out?
So I was awfully green when I moved up there, and it wasn't what I expected early on. And I kind of kept telling myself, like, okay, they call it a 10-year town for a reason, And so,
okay, man, we're gonna have to get down to the basics here. Why do they call it a 10-year?
They call it a 10-year town because that's generally how long it takes for you to be successful in Nashville.
Gotcha.
Or at least most people, if they find success at all.
So they could be.
They
there
say
for,
if you give it 10 years, and if you're not where you want to be in 10 years, then you can leave.
Willie Nelson moved back to Texas.
Willie Nelson didn't have a number one hit until he was in his, I want to say, 30s. Yeah. Which, think about that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of people that went to Nashville when they were young. It wasn't what they thought. They left. Years later, came back and found success. There's plenty of people like that. But I have no desire to go back. I'll tell you that.
Really?
Much.
So you didn't like the scene?
Well, for people like me, having grown up pretty rural, kind of walk out your back door and go hunting, kind of rural. It was tough living in a city like that and just getting acclimated, which I did, and I got used to it. But it's such a tough industry on top of having to change my lifestyle that much that it wore me down really
I assume
quick.
you had to like work a normal job.
I did.
And so you were trying to do.
Yeah, True Green paid my bills. I was a Kim Lawn technician.
Okay.
By trade while I was up there. And then
when you drive through Nashville and you see just normal people working, could you assume that some percentage of them are trying to
a large portion of them, yes.
Really?
Everyone that is a waitress, a waiter,
they got some dream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would say half.
For real?
Least. Yeah.
I was kind of joking. I was envisioning you like spraying lawns.
That is 100%. There are so many people up there trying to cut their teeth in the music business and having to work, jobs to pay the bills on top of that. Yeah. So it is a grind. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
And it wore me down a lot quicker than it would I guess, millions of other people that are there trying to do it. But I had a great job, available back home. And so I was tired of being broke and discouraged. And so I moved back home. I guess that was in 2015, I want to say, that I moved back home. 15 or 16. It might have been 2016, actually. So I get back home and I just go to work for the company. real estate and land development. That's what we did. We basically build neighborhoods and build houses and sell them, and, you know, the whole nine.
Yeah.
But so I started working, but I was still doing music, you know. So that's when Cam Spinks and the 58s was formed. It was a lot of the same guys from the previous project before I had moved to Nashville.
They were waiting on you when you came back.
Kind of. I called a few of them.
Cam.
Probably, yeah. They're like, oh, it's just a matter of time.
They're like, here comes the leading man.
I've been waiting on this call for a couple years now. But no, we had a good run with that one. We probably played together for maybe a year or two. I can't remember. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? Nobody in Nashville wanted to buy my songs, or no publishers wanted to sign me for X reason or Y reason. So, you know what? I'm just going to start cutting all my songs and putting them out myself. So that's what I did, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And now I have some guys, a couple guys from Alabama, a couple guys from Nashville that play with me, and they just back me as Cam Spinks. It's just, you know, that's what it is. There's no like set band. We might, you know, filter through several musicians at each position. You know, it just depending on what's available. Yeah. Which is not a lot right now. Given the times.
Yeah.
I've always said, especially lately, that I'm glad that I have other skills and other trades that I'm good at, because if I were a full-time musician right now, I would be kicking myself.
Yeah.
Because you are not playing, and you probably won't be playing much for the foreseeable future. So thankful that I know how to do other things. But that said, the dream is still you started musician.
Yeah. So you were already writing your own music. You started recording your own music as Cam Spinks. And then, so take me to what made you want to try out for The Voice.
That's actually, that's how they found me.
They asked you?
They the Voice is very diligent about scouting great talent.
Okay.
There's a very small percentage of people that make it to the show that were a product of those big, you know, cattle calls, those big public tryouts. You know, a lot of it is, you know, you get an email from a scout and they're like, hey, here's this song, we really like it. Would you be interested in, you know, an audition for The Voice? And so that's how they contacted me.
I bet that was an exciting email.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'll tell you. I'd always kind of sworn off stuff like that. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do a show.
Just like Clay Newcomb.
They're going to, you know, they're going to dictate your every move the whole time. Like, it won't even be that much fun. Like, but I reluctantly, I agreed to go to Atlanta for a tryout for some of the producers. And by the end of that, they were like, we want to fly you out to L.A., and you know, have you continue on the process of getting on the show. And so, you know, I said, what the hell, let's do it. So flew out to California and ended up making it onto the show all the way. And so I spent
how many people originally are on the show?
Oh,
like from like the first episode.
I would say from the first episode, I want to say, so the number of people that had a blind audition, which is when they turn their chairs or they don't.
Yeah.
There was probably, I don't know, 50, 60 people.
Okay, so
they already have it narrowed down to that small of a number before the first episode.
Okay, so but 50 or 60 people get a blind audition on television.
Yes.
Okay, so
but they don't show all of them, and then there's also
they don't show all of that,
or they show like little snippets, or you know, there's no guarantee that they show your actual audition,
right? Because maybe it was awesome,
time constraints,
maybe it wasn't,
or you know, I mean, all kinds of factors.
So let me describe the way it works, because so there's 4 big chairs that are on a swivel. Have you seen it, Colby?
I have.
You pop culture. I can't believe you.
I didn't watch.
No, just for somebody.
He works for TMZ on the side. Don't let him fool you.
So there's basically the backs of these chairs are faced towards the stage.
with names.
And then there's in these chairs are these 4 really famous people. Blake
Correct.
Shelton. I wouldn't have known who any of them were except for Blake Shelton.
John Legend.
Blake
Yep,
Shelton,
he
John
was one.
Legend, Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson,
Jonas.
and yes, and
Yeah.
I
Nick
probably
Jonas.
shouldn't say this, but I had no idea who he was.
He's a brother.
Good. I like that. Cam.
And they were like, I was like, because they kind
He's
of.
like,
There was an
young.
episode where they filmed us like all reacting to finding out who he was.
You were
Because at
like,
that point in time,
I've never heard of her.
there was only 3 judges from the previous season. They were bringing on a new one.
Right,
And it was supposed to be this big surprise, this mystery. And when I found out who it was, I was like,
I'm missing something. Dude. That's funny.
Okay, I knew who he was.
But I knew it. Colby is always. I think he's always dreamed of being in a boy band.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's a joke. No, so
That's the second time it's come up, though.
It is the second. So a musician comes out and performs, and if this person in the chair likes what they hear, essentially they spin the chair around.
Yeah,
and if they don't like it, they don't spin their chair
Right.
around. And they're trying to gather teams. So everybody's got. So anyway, basically a blind audition. Like if you get. If a chair turns around, that's like a good thing, and because some people play and no chairs turn around,
Yeah.
and if that happens, it's bad. How many people turned on your deal?
I had 2. It was Blake and
Kelly.
Kelly.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
those 2 turned.
yeah. Well, I know the lingo now. That was a 2-chair
Two-chair turn.
turn.
2-chair turn. That's right.
That's better.
And
than
those are the 2 that would turn for country.
That's right.
And I was the only country male on the season.
What
I was the
about
only one.
Todd Tillman?
I
Wouldn't
think
be considered country?
Todd was kind of a hybrid. Todd could do
Yeah.
whatever they wanted him to do.
Yeah,
He's just an incredibly talented vocalist who they could have thrown like a Bee Gees song at him and he could have done it.
Yeah,
Or a rap song and he probably could have done it.
yeah.
I mean, he's just his talent is pretty limitless in the vocal department. So I think they kind of felt the lack of country in there, so they kind of eased him over a little bit in that lane as well, which honestly I didn't mind, especially when I got to hear him sing that Travis Tritt song because it was incredible. I love that song. I love Travis Tritt, and I think Todd did a great job with it. So I was glad to see that they were kind of, nudging him over into the country.
Yeah,
vein.
kind of letting you take that space.
Yeah.
So okay, so you go to L.A. and you do the blind audition. You get chosen to be on Blake's team.
Right.
So Blake, yep.
Did
I
you
picked Blake. Yes.
Did you pick the song yourself?
Um,
What was it? Wave on Wave, right?
I will
Pat Green.
wink and tell you yes.
Okay. Was that the same song that you would have sung for the producers beforehand, or was it a different song?
That is not what I would have chosen to sing had I had 100% autonomy over that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, whenever they sent you the email and you did the first thing where you sang for
No, actually, the songs that I sang for that, what did I sing? Oh man, what did I sing? I don't
thought-provoking
remember.
question.
Good grief.
You're giving him the hard
I think I sang an older David Nail song, which a lot of them probably had no idea what it was, but it was kind of a ballad country song called "The Sound of a Million Dreams." That was one of them, and then another song that I played was "Midnight Train to Memphis" by Chris Stapleton. That was another one.
Okay.
Just big Stapleton guy.
Yeah.
And, that's always a favorite of mine to play, and so
you get on Blake's team, and then so how far did you go inside the competition?
So I made it to what they call the knockout rounds. So I guess that would have been my the third round, I guess. If you
that's pretty
so you do
deep
the
into it,
blind.
though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was extremely proud. My goal going in was just to. My first goal was, all right, let's just try to make it on the show officially. Let's try to get a blind audition.
Yeah.
Whatever happens after that, whatever.
Yeah.
And so once I got a blind audition and I made it to that point, I was like, all right, I want to make it to the live rounds. I want to be able to sing live. And that's just after the knockout. So my knockout was against Todd. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, as soon as I found out I was paired against Todd, I should have just packed my bags because I knew that was probably the end of the road. But honestly, if I had to lose to anyone on the whole thing, I'm glad it was him.
Yeah.
We became good friends, and we stay in touch. But yeah, so I made it to what they call the knockout rounds.
So that would have been like half of the people gone that started.
Yes, I think,
or more.
I guess that would have. So yes, after the knockouts, I think 17 people remained out of the initial. I guess each person had. How many did they have? Was it 10 per team? It was 40 of us total?
Something like that.
I don't remember. I think it was something like that. And so, yeah, I probably made it about halfway through the competition.
Yeah. Cool. So what was your overall impression with the whole deal?
Honestly, it was great. It was a big time commitment, and that was my only.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, that was the only bone I had to pick with the whole process of everything. Is it just? I mean, you're over in LA for X amount of time, and then you're on TV for 2 minutes. Just the big disconnect between, you're there for a month, and you do all this filming and prep and wardrobe and all kinds of stuff like that. Legal, social media, everything. You're in meetings and stuff. But then you have a ton of downtime as well. And so, just Alabama boy out in California twiddling his thumbs,
Yeah.
And part of that was, I think I was there in January, which duck season and the rut in the southern part of Alabama. And so I was a little annoyed about that, but how annoyed can you be when you're getting the opportunity to be on national television singing? So I kept my perspective, but I couldn't believe that it took as much time as it did, as much of a time commitment. So that was the only adverse takeaway that I had. The entire process, the way they treat you, I mean, state of the art. I mean, just class. It was great. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about the show or the way it operates. It is a show, and you have to keep that in mind
when you're showbiz.
When you're a part of it, and just kind of swallow your pride every now and then. But I anticipated that going in, so it wasn't too big of a pill to swallow.
What will this do for your music career? Is it going to help you?
Well, yeah, my goal, my overwhelming goal, my overarching goal for deciding to do it was just to kind of put myself out there and get some exposure, get a little bit more of a fan base.
Well, look what it's done for you. You're on the Bear Hunting Magazine podcast.
From the global headquarters.
Mom, we made it. Okay. No, it was just to kind of get more of a following. I thought that if I could get, people's attention one way or another on a large scale like that and direct them towards my original music, that, some things could happen. And then, of course, the season couldn't have been at a worse time in history.
So they had to finish the show like on Zoom calls.
It was
pretty wild.
It was strange.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm just a spectator. I'm no longer on the show, but I finished watching the entire season. Watch all my friends. And honestly, I have to say I'm kind of glad that I got eliminated when I did, because those were just, in my opinion, it was a little awkward, and I'm just glad I didn't have to go through that part of, setting up in your living room and Zooming. I'm not really cut out for the whole, relying on technology that much. So obviously I would have liked to have continued on the show, but
Sure.
I'm thankful that I didn't have to do it in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so are you still like pursuing music pretty heavily?
Yes, I my plan post show the whole time was as soon as it's over, let's start putting more music out.
Mhm.
I'd released I think I'd put out maybe 10 or 12 songs before the show, and I think it was maybe a week and a half ago we finally put, or maybe 2 weeks ago, we put out some more. We put out 3 more songs a couple weeks ago, and then I've got another one coming out this week actually on Wednesday. And then I'm going to put out a song a month until I
Okay.
run out of songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, I feel like it's a cool way to maintain consistency and, just keep your audience intrigued a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People, they don't like to pay attention to things for too long these days where they get distracted by something else. And so if you're giving them something on a consistent basis, a little bit of a date that they can look forward to for something new, I feel like it could be cool and refreshing. So,
Mhm.
that's my plan right now. And then on top of that, trying, scratching and fighting, trying to get back into the live music
Mhm.
Yeah.
scene, because it's just our hands are tied right now.
Yeah,
And
it's probably
I've
gonna be a
managed
while.
to land a couple of things. But like I said, we're still just severely limited on what we can do
Mhm.
Yeah.
playing live music. So just waiting on all that to pick back up. But yeah, between all the current events over the last several months in history, it's been a pretty terrible time to be a musician, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Wild.
like I said, it couldn't have happened at a worse time for me and everyone else that was on the
Yeah.
show trying to, take advantage of the momentum that you get from that.
Yeah.
Because if we could have kind of hit the ground running right after the show, right after I was eliminated,
Mhm.
probably
You
could have been
probably-
a bit of a different story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you probably would have had a little bit of
Yeah.
momentum.
Has it helped with your songwriting at all? Were you able to do some songwriting with other contestants that might have done it, or?
I'll be honest. I'll level with you. I've never been great at writing with people.
Oh, okay.
His new album's called "Leave Me Alone."
Yeah.
I thought that was just perfect for the times.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
His new
Leave me
track
alone.
is social distancing. I ride along alone.
but no, I like I said, I spent
Yeah.
years in Nashville doing that, and first for one reason or another, I didn't love it, and some people are like that,
Mhm.
and it wasn't that long ago that people wrote all their own songs,
Yeah.
So, I don't spend a whole lot of time doing that. I never have. I kind of reached a point where I realized this isn't my strong suit, writing with people, co-writing.
Mhm.
And so I'm not gonna, spend a lot of energy trying to make that happen.
Yeah.
I still do it from time to time. Not gonna lie.
Have you ever written a hunting song?
I've
song that had
incorporated
some hunting stuff
Yes,
in it?
I
Have
have.
you?
Actually, Father's Day this past weekend, I wrote a song called "I Got It From My Daddy," and it talks about deer hunting and the first rifle that I had and stuff like that. And I think there's been other songs where I've kind of slipped it in little nuances and stuff, references. I do a lot of. Over the years, I've hunted a lot in Kentucky, and so I write. I've written about parts of Kentucky. I love that state. I love hunting that state. It's gorgeous. Good friend of mine has a farm out there, and so we go every year, at least a couple weekends. Oddly enough, he gets a lot of ducks.
Really, in Kentucky?
Yeah. Oh man, we smash ducks.
Man,
out there.
what's the so I could give like a spiel about like hunting in Arkansas. I really don't know a lot about Alabama other than just like hunting in Alabama, other than that high deer numbers. It's classic kind of Delta type, bottom land type hunting, but I don't want to. I'm not just talking about deer hunting. Like, what is it What is it like to be a hunter in Alabama? Go.
Being a hunter in Alabama
Sing it.
is, I mean, we really never run out of anything to hunt.
Right.
You could hunt year round if you wanted to. Alabama is the most, as far as animals are concerned, we're the most biodiverse state. I want to say, if we're not, we're in the top few.
Really?
Because our terrain is so, we have a little bit of everything. We have the beaches, we have the lowlands, we've got a lot of swamps and rivers and wetlands. We've got some mountains.
Southern
in quotes,
Appalachians.
Southern Appalachia. We've got some high country, and it just offers a lot of different game. So I mean, obviously, probably the most hunted thing in Alabama is going to be deer, followed by turkeys.
Yeah,
we have a lot of turkeys. There's a lot of turkeys in Alabama. There's certain parts where there's not as much, but just like any other place.
Yeah.
There's higher densities in certain places, but
is there a 5-bird bag limit?
And that's another thing about Alabama is we can kill 5 turkeys.
Whoa!
And a lot of people do it every year.
It's a lot of turkeys.
The population replenishes so
Some of
well.
the Western guys don't know how. I was out in Montana hunting with some of those guys, and there's essentially a 5-bird limit in Montana, but you got to kill them in different parts of the states. And turkey hunting's not that big a deal out there. So like guys don't hunt, but for the Southeast, a 5-bird limit. I mean, to me, that's a ton of turkeys. We've never been able to. The highest bag limit that was ever in Arkansas was a 3-bird bag limit in the 1980s.
There's people that go back and forth with wanting to get it lowered back down to 3, and I think it probably would be wise after this past year because you had so many hunters that were home that weren't at work.
They were hunting.
The numbers, I would not be shocked if we killed twice as many birds in Alabama this year as we did the year before. Statewide, I haven't checked harvest records or anything.
I think I heard that almost exact statistic.
So many. And like I told you, my brother and I had the best season of our lives, and then we have kind of a group of buddies. There's about 7 or 8 of us that are hardcore, dedicated turkey hunters, and I mean, maybe 1 or 2 of us didn't limit.
Wow.
I mean, we were responsible for 20 or 30 dead turkeys, just 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah.
And we weren't alone. Like I said, it was just a hell of a season down there this year. And so I would not be surprised.
You have an early season too.
Yes, we do. It starts on the 15th of March.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, if you hadn't listened to this guy, Mike Chamberlain, the Wild Turkey Doc, they call him on Instagram.
Doc.
Wild Turkey Doc. That's his name on Instagram.
Gotcha.
He's been on Land and Legacy podcast with my buddies up there in Missouri.
Yeah.
He's been on Renella's podcast, Meat Eater podcast.
Love Steve.
And Wild Turkey Doc, I think he's from Alabama or somewhere in Georgia. And he is the best that I've heard at describing why, or maybe he's just the only guy we've listened to long enough, but talking about how these early seasons are super hard on turkeys. It may not make sense. I mean, just rationally, you're just like, kill a gobbling turkey on March 15th is the same as killing a gobbling turkey on April the 20th. But he describes the pecking order and the lek. He talks about a lek, which is like a group of turkeys, and how their social hierarchy works. And basically, by taking out this dominant bird, it screws up a lot of their breeding.
I would assume, taking one out early like that, obviously, he's not going to be breeding any hens, and he was a dominant one. And if I'm not mistaken, hens can, they can breed multiple turkeys, and then their bodies actually can select the fertilized eggs the eggs that they want to fertilize. Something crazy like that, I think I read. And so a lot of times, if you're killing all your mature birds early in the year, it wouldn't be crazy to assume that you're going to have some hens that don't get
right.
You're
bred. Messing up something.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I could see that.
So deer hunting's big.
Deer hunting's big. Turkey hunting's big.
There's no bear season in Alabama, though.
No, there's
No
not.
bear
Not to
season?
my knowledge. I don't think there is.
There's not.
I'm
There's not.
about 100% sure that there's not.
There's not.
But there are animals that I enjoy hunting that you can hunt year round. You
Like
can
what?
hunt hogs year round.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, how are you hunting hogs?
You go out there in the field and shoot them.
Yeah, but you're not.
There's a lot of 'em.
You're not running dogs or.
No, I have a lot of friends that grew up in Florida that would run dogs, and I didn't grow up hog hunting. And when I got to know these guys pretty well in college, just hearing them talk about it down there, completely different art.
Yeah.
that is some intense stuff.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of dogs. Not hard to do when you're doing that.
Yeah.
But no, I've not done a ton of hog hunting, but you could do it if you wanted to. I mean, any kind of nuisance animal that you can think of.
Yeah.
There's always something that you can go and hunt.
Yeah.
Always. But
Big duck hunting.
coon
state
hunting
as well.
is really big
Yeah.
in Alabama.
Mhm.
What else?
Yeah.
Dove hunting is big.
Yeah.
A lot of dove hunters in Alabama as well. I've been to several shoots in Alabama and Georgia as well. There's parts of the South where little patches where there's just incredible dove hunting, and we do a shoot every year at our farm. We actually just acquired some new land. My dad did, and he was texting me this week, and he was like, "We're gonna have the dove shoot of all dove shoots this year because he said it's." We're at the beginning of the summer, and I'm looking at hundreds and hundreds of doves already here, and we haven't planted anything, we haven't thrown any seed, we haven't done anything. They're just here,
Yeah.
and so we're anticipating a big shoot.
Black River, is that in Alabama? Is that a well-known place?
There's I think there's the Black Warrior River,
Black Warrior River,
or a section of the Warrior River that's the Black Warrior, I want to say.
Okay.
But no, I'm not familiar with the Black River.
Okay.
If there is one in Alabama.
I'm going deep into the archives of my mind, remembering there used to be in like Outdoor Life and some of these magazines there would always be Alabama whitetail hunting, like this little like black and white ad in national magazines. It would be like Southern Alabama whitetail hunting, and I want to say it was like black something, like black. I wondered if I threw that out there if you'd be like, oh yeah,
Probably
Black River.
black belt.
Black belt.
Yes. So the black belt is
That's it.
The black belt is a strip of extremely fertile agricultural
Okay.
land
Good
across.
whitetail
It kind of
hunting.
runs, if I'm not mistaken, it runs kind of a little bit east to west, kind of swooping north in South Alabama. And
Okay.
I grew up hunting the black belt pretty much my entire life.
Okay.
That's where you're going to kill the biggest deer in Alabama,
Hmm.
without question, on a consistent basis. Like I said, it's just extremely, extremely fertile ground. And anytime you're hunting near ag, on a
Yeah.
large scale, the deer are naturally just going to be bigger because their diet is,
Right. Right.
that much better.
Yeah.
So that's, as far as whitetail hunting in Alabama, get in that black belt.
The black belt.
That's
Yep, what I remember.
that's your best bet for sure.
Is there a lot of public land in Alabama?
There is. Fortunately for me, I've never had to hunt a lot of public land, but I live near several different national forests and management areas, and it's popular. There's
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of hunters on it. They see a lot of pressure, but every year, you can bet your last dollar there's going to be some stomp
Good
down
deer.
good ones killed off of it.
Yeah.
Because, when you've got a massive land that big and that many people putting pressure on it, just statistics, you're bound to have a couple of really, really good ones killed.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is compared to other states, but I know that there is, I would say there's a fair amount, if not
Yeah.
an abundance of public land in Alabama.
Yeah.
If you want to hunt in Alabama, you can hunt in Alabama.
Yeah,
There's nobody saying, I just have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, you can do it.
What's your favorite hunting in Alabama?
My favorite hunting, definitely in Alabama. My favorite hunting is definitely whitetails. Just because I don't know. I guess I've it was my first hunting. It was the first hunting that I did, like legit. You know, we shot squirrels off the back porch when we were kids. You know, but as far as like any kind of structure to it, just grew up deer hunting. And honestly, I didn't care for a turkey. I didn't care for a duck. I didn't care for any of it outside of whitetails until I was much later in life, which I kind of kick myself for now because the land that I had access to back then and all the turkeys I probably could have killed, you know, what an idiot I was. But no, definitely deer hunting. And then it's a toss up between
bow hunting, rifle hunting.
Yes. I primarily bow hunt now. The older I've gotten, I definitely still rifle hunt. Don't get me wrong, but I've definitely leaned more over into archery the older I've gotten. Because you know I've just spent so many years and had so much success with a rifle that you know naturally you want something more challenging. So I'm definitely more of a bow hunter now. But if it gets later in the year, you know. And a lot of land in Alabama is hard to bow hunt.
Big
because
open ag stuff.
there's that, but then on top of that, I want to say a little over 70% of the state is timber land. It's like woods.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is thickets that you just can't bow hunt, you know. It's not like in the Midwest when you can pattern, you know, you can literally physically put your eyes on that deer and know where he's bedding and know where he's feeding.
Yeah.
You can't do that hardly in Alabama. It's just it's too dense. The terrain is too dense. And so we rely a lot on trail cameras. As far as bow hunting is concerned, we rely heavily on trail cameras. And just creating openings in thick areas like that to give ourselves a shot. And then on top of that, a lot of the land that I've been fortunate to hunt, the timber industry is huge in Alabama. We rely on pines a lot. And so I love hunting a clear cut. They come in and cut all the timber, you know, and you've got this mass of acreage where a deer feels really, really comfortable, you know, a year or two after that timber's cut, but you can still see him.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one of my all-time favorite things to hunt is maybe a two-year cutover.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, those deer, they'll bed in it, and they stand up, and you can see them, and they feel completely hidden. They have no idea.
That sounds like an old Jackie Bushman trick.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Jackie Bushman's from Alabama.
Yeah, he is. He is from South Alabama.
Man, you describing hunting clear cuts is a lot like Southwest Arkansas, where I grew up doing quite a bit of hunting. So I grew up in the mountains, but we would drive to the good deer numbers a little bit further south out of the mountains, and it was a lot of timber country, a lot of pine plantations, and absolutely, man, you climb up a 30-foot, you know, a pine tree with no limbs for 40 feet.
That's exactly right.
Use a climbing stand.
That's right.
Clickety-clack, climb up there, sit there and watch a big cut over.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's fun.
So much fun in the rut as well. Like, just watching those racks bounce around out there while they're chasing those does. I love it so much. But yeah, in recent years, I've really taken a liking to duck hunting, and even more recently than that, turkeys. I did not become what I would consider a hardcore turkey hunter until maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, man, if you're in a good turkey population, you can learn a lot about turkey hunting.
Yep.
Because you can work a lot of birds, mess up a lot, and it not affect you. Around here,
you mess one up,
maybe your season's over.
Yep.
For real. But so you started in a good place.
Yeah, very very friendly to a turkey hunter down there. We had a friend, one of my best friends, his family has a big farm in south of Montgomery, towards like Auburn, not far from Auburn, maybe 30, 40 minutes outside there, but big family farm, beautiful, absolutely one of the prettiest places and wildlife rich places I've ever seen. And for years and years we hunted that place and we did not turkey hunt. And we would go deer hunting all throughout the whole season, and we would see just, 50, 60, 70 at a time. Just these massive wads of turkeys. And so one year we were like, we're going to turkey hunt this year. We're just going to try it out.
Yeah.
And so, I think maybe a dozen of us went down there. And over 3 days, I don't know how many turkeys we killed. It was incredible. We would have, groups of 6 and 7 longbeards coming in, attacking just the kind of turkey hunts you dream of, attacking the decoys, fighting each other. It was incredible turkey hunting. And after that, I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked after that.
Hey, you just said something that is totally off topic, but this is kind of the way we roll, I guess. It's been a long, I don't know that I've talked to somebody in Alabama in a format like this. Auburn and Alabama. How does this work?
Well, first I'll say Roll Tide. I'm a diehard to my core Alabama Crimson Tide fan.
Okay.
Honestly,
so is it?
It's tough to explain.
Where are the colleges?
So
in relation to the state. Now let me.
Yeah.
My history is there's one Division I school in the whole state of Arkansas. University of Arkansas. So everybody's a University of Arkansas fan. It's real easy.
Bless their hearts.
And there's no kidding. No kidding. Our football team's
unless you're in the
good.
track and field,
Yeah, exactly. We're good at that, buddy. We'll run from
absolutely.
Yeah, we got a football team about as good as our turkey hunting. We have no professional teams, and we have one Division I university. So it's like everybody's a Razorback fan. So Alabama has
we've got several
two major.
The two big ones, Bama and Auburn. So Alabama is just west of Birmingham, a little bit south, but mostly west. So it's
the college.
The college itself. And then Auburn is kind of southeast towards Georgia, not far from the Georgia line, really.
Okay.
A lot of big Auburn fans in Georgia.
Okay.
Lots. And then, they're not too far from each other.
The colleges aren't that
the colleges,
far?
They're probably
how do those
2
colleges
hours.
support the population base? There can't be that many people in Alabama.
There's not, but the thing is, if you are in Alabama, you got to pick one of them. Mm-hmm. And so you got half the state that's Auburn fans, the other half is Tide fans, and then you have all these outliers that might be like a UAB fan, like University of Alabama at Birmingham. Or like a Troy University.
That's not a Division.
They're Division I. Yeah, UAB's like Division I, AA. I want to say they're like a step below.
Okay.
Like
they're not in like that.
FS,
SEC
like they're not in.
something.
They're not in like. What is it? What am I looking for?
Well, SEC, the Southeast.
No, they're not in the SEC. They're in lesser conferences, but they do play.
Okay.
Division I. Ball clubs every year.
Okay.
But. Yeah,
so geographic.
It's a little bit geographic, but then again, it's not.
Really? So
you can have, Auburn fans that live just outside Tuscaloosa and Bama fans that live just outside Auburn.
Okay, I'm breaking this down because I know this is so complex that you being so deep inside of it are going to have a hard time explaining it. Okay, so. Is it? Does one school represent something the other school doesn't represent?
Yeah, you could say that. Alabama represents winning, and Auburn represents losing.
See, I knew this was way too complicated for him to explain.
No. It's I'll tell you the stereotypes that might put it in a little more perspective, and things that I can actually agree with on a certain level. Tuscaloosa is a bit of a trashier town than Auburn.
Okay.
Just gonna lay that out there. I'll admit it.
Okay.
Auburn's a much nicer.
He can say that because he's from
Auburn
Alabama.
is a nicer area. There is no question, and it is. If I had to choose one of those schools to go to, I would go to Auburn, based on several different things. So Auburn fans have it in their heads that they're the more classy. From my perspective, I think they think that they're kind of uppity a little bit.
Okay.
And then Bama fans are like, okay, we know we're kind of rugged, but who cares, And Auburn, their season is a success if they beat Alabama. Alabama's season is not a success unless they win the national championship. So their goals are different. And I'll just to lay the statistics out there, there's no category in football, no significant category where Alabama has not been more successful than Auburn.
Okay.
We've got more national championships. We've got more SEC championships.
Okay.
Is
Alabama like the best
more
football?
more bowl appearances, more bowl victories?
From what you're saying, that's not even a question. Is that? I mean, is there
No,
a question
I mean-
of which one's better?
You can't question numbers. Facts are facts.
Yeah, that's okay.
Auburn fans have a
You're
hard
saying
time.
it as if it needs to be defended.
It doesn't legitimately need to be defended. It
Okay.
only needs to be, defended when you're talking to an Auburn fan who I can't look at numbers and,
Yeah.
and deduce that
Man,
one school
I
is
think-
better than the other at football.
I just feel like this is bad for the state for there to be such a division here.
It's good and it's bad. It's bad because, it's bad for a number of reasons. One, criminal acts have been committed as a result of this rivalry and continue to be committed, I'm sure. But then it's also good because a little banter, a little struggle, a little bit of tension is healthy, I think. A rivalry makes it so much more fun. Especially when it's as
deep
deep
down, they
and
really-
heated rivalry as Alabama. and
So
Auburn.
if it's that close and in the same state, which I just can't relate to, deep down, do Auburn fans, are they rooting for Alabama if they're out? Because my dad,
No.
I don't like college football. I don't watch it. I don't pay attention to it. But I said at the beginning of this and admitted to everybody that I keep my pulse on pop culture. Okay.
Right.
Now, my dad loves college football. And so as soon as the Razorbacks are out, which is always very early, he is just going for SEC guys. And so, I'm just like, I'm like, whatever. So he wants Alabama to win. If Auburn was in the national championship, he'd want Auburn to win. So if
I see what you're getting at.
if Auburn's out, are the Auburn guys rooting for Alabama?
I feel like there's probably a majority of them that are not.
Really? So they're
Yes.
just like,
it's that
their
heated. They're like,
nose.
a lot of them have the same mentality towards us that we have towards them. I hope that Auburn never wins a football game.
Oh, really? You're one of those guys.
Absolutely. I hope they never win a game ever. But I hope we get to play them. I don't wish any ill will towards the actual players or the school itself. But
Okay.
if they never won another game ever, it would thrill me to death.
Man, see, from Alabama, and he's rooting against his Alabama teams. Okay, good. Well, you've explained it to me.
Like I'll put it to you this way, just to put the rivalry in perspective for me personally. I dated a girl that's family had Auburn fans in it, and it was a point of debate. It was a
Contention.
discussion. Yes,
Really?
with my family.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it's
Wow.
I mean,
This is divisive.
but
Crazy.
yeah,
Well,
it
good.
is.
I'm
It
glad
is
we got that
intense.
cleared up because
It is that intense.
I've been wanting to get some clarity on this for a while, so now I think I understand. Good. Well,
Just to sum it up, Bama good, Auburn bad.
Okay.
I mean, it's that. It's
that
that simple. Yep.
it's that simple. Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Well, what are your plans for this fall? What are you going to do?
Man,
hunting wise.
I've got a couple of duck hunts planned. I got one. I'm going duck hunting in Kansas for the first time. I'm really excited
Okay.
about that. I've never hunted dry fields, and so we're doing that for the first time this year.
Oh, cool.
Really excited about that. I've got another one planned for South Louisiana.
Duck hunt.
Yep. And we're going to do some red fishing too while we're down there.
Oh,
just
nice.
a little cast and blast, And then I'm in the process of trying to lock down some kind of private land here in Northwest Arkansas, just so that I'm not bored out of my mind when football doesn't happen, because I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
And not that I would. So back home, I could just go hunt and then come back home and watch it was easy. I could do it all.
Yeah.
But here, I don't have anywhere local or anything close outside of public land to hunt. So I'm trying to find something because, I mean, I even hunt midweek. I hunt,
Yeah.
and when the sun's up, I'm trying to hunt.
The lease. There's not a lot of leases in this part of the world.
Discovered.
I mean,
I've discovered, and that's another big difference between here and Alabama. There is a plethora of land that is leased every year.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, and it's probably. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just not prevalent. I mean, people just don't think about. I want a deer lease to go.
You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I have the OnX app on my phone, and so I can look up property owners and things like that. So I'll just be perusing through the map, find a property owner, find their Facebook or anything I can find, and I've reached out to several people about potentially leasing their land to hunt, and it's like they've never heard of it. Up here. It's incredible. Like, you want to do what? I was like, no, I want to give you money so I can hunt your property.
Just come on and hunt. You don't have to give me money.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of that. I've just some people that, at least verbally, they're like, oh, yeah, man. I mean, we'll see how that goes when they realize how crazy I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we need to put a greenfield there, and what do you think about putting some summer crops over here? And they're like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
I don't even have a tractor.
Yeah.
But
it is different.
That's one thing that's been a little eye-opening too, is acquiring private land up here to hunt is a challenge.
Yeah.
But still chomping away at it. I'm gonna figure something out.
If you just beat the ground enough, you'll come up with something.
Yep.
You'll come with something. So you're
So I've got those duck hunts lined up. Late summer, got several dove shoots that I plan on going to. And then obviously I'm going to take, I usually, around Christmas and New Year's, I take a big block of time right there, and do a lot of hunting, whether that's, ducks, deer, in Alabama. It's,
will you go back to Alabama?
Yeah, I have plans. I'll probably, so the way the year will go more than likely is I'll be in Kentucky beginning of September, bow hunting. Then it's my brother killed a pretty nice one up there last year with his bow. His first velvet deer, beautiful, probably 120-inch 8-point, really pretty.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of we bow hunt there every year, beginning of season. Then we'll shoot doves mid-September, late September on into October. Well, then season opens here October 1, correct?
Well, it's fourth Saturday in September. So it'll be like the 27th or 26th.
So somewhere in there, I could, by then, hopefully I'll have something. Or a good friend of mine has a family farm in Mississippi that also opens beginning of October, archery season. So I'll either, be hunting here or hunting there, one of the two. And then season comes in Alabama, October the 15th, archery season. And from then on out, there'll be a lot of traveling back and forth. That's what it's looking like because, even if I did have some land here to hunt, I would still be going back and forth to Alabama just because it's I've got a great resource at my disposal down there and plenty of land to hunt. And so,
have you ever hunted out west? Any of the big game out west?
I wish. I've been talking to one of my good hunting buddies about. This is forever. We talk about it every year, and we never do it. It's like, man, we're going to go out west, like Colorado or Montana or something. We're going to public land hunt for elk.
Right.
Like, that's what we're going to do, and we've just never done it.
Yeah.
It's hard. The hardest thing for us is always scheduling, timing.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go and do it by yourself. At least I don't.
Yeah.
But no, just for whatever reason, man, never made it happen. I got a real good friend that lives in Alaska and hunts like crazy. He actually killed a giant, and I mean a giant brown bear 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. He was sending me pictures, but anyways, he's been trying to get me to come up there and hunt with him, and that's just another thing I hadn't been able to make it happen.
Yeah.
But Yeah, that's always been all these like destination type hunts, stuff like that. That's always been when I've got the money and I've got the time, that's the first thing on the docket. That's what we're going to
Yeah.
go do, you know.
You know, I think there's a lot of guys in the Southeast that you know, like growing up in the town I was in Arkansas, there was a group of guys that always went to Colorado, but it's a pretty small group. I would say now that number of people is like, I feel like it's way more. Like, I feel like it's much more common, I guess, just in the age of information being spread so much, and on X and podcasts and, you know, information just going. People are kind of emboldened to be able to jump in their trucks and drive out west. But anyway, I don't feel bad. I didn't start hunting out west till probably 5 years ago. I mean, I just stayed. I prided myself and never have been killed a deer outside the state of Arkansas. And that actually is true except for Manitoba. I don't think I've killed a deer outside of Arkansas except for Manitoba, Canada. But anyway, so it's cool. You know, if you don't know, you don't know me very well, Cam, but I love local hunting. Like, because it's real easy to look at television and all this stuff that's like far off hunting and you know, adventure based, all this backpack hunting, and be like, oh man, I wish I could do that. But we got this incredible hunting right here close to our house.
Right.
And that can be just as epic, just as fun.
I guess
That
I've
being
never
said,
just stated it, but I guess we kind of have a similar mentality in that regard because, I mean, I've killed very few deer outside of Alabama, but
right.
The ones I have killed, especially in the last maybe 7 or 8 years, have been within minutes of my house. And so
there's a lot.
I loved it.
There's a ton of value in that. There really is. And don't get me wrong, I love traveling and hunting, and we've done that extensively the last 7 years. But my best hunting is like within a mile of right here at home.
I don't doubt it.
And it's not best because I kill the biggest animals.
Right.
It's best because I got to eat dinner with my family and jump in the truck and drive down the road and hunt for 2 hours or you know, whatever the situation would be. But no, that's cool, man. I just wondered if you'd been out west any. Yeah.
Sure wish, but no, like you, I find immense value in I guess what you call local hunting. I guess that's a great
hunting.
term for it.
Local hunting. And that's what most people do. I mean, most people don't have the liberty to travel that much. Just most people don't. But it is more common than it's ever been, and it's because of, I feel like it's just because of just the spread of information.
Yeah.
And you know, it just like kind of intel, you know, that maybe you didn't have 25 years ago.
It's interesting how certain components like that technologically have maybe increased the number of hunters, but if I'm not mistaken, the state of Alabama has seen a pretty consistent decline in the number of hunting licenses, and I imagine that's probably not just, you know, in Alabama, just the technology age. Kids don't grow up doing it like they used to.
Right.
There's just been a pretty significant decline, and I know that at least in Alabama, there's a few things they've done to kind of incentivize things like that, but it's still it's you hate to see it, but you kind of love to see it. It's kind of a catch-22, but
well, you know,
it's just it's interesting to me how some things, like you said, it looks like there's more people doing it when the numbers are actually saying that there's fewer people.
Right. Well, you know, we talk a ton about hunter recruitment. We really do. I mean, a lot of times that's awesome. Our mission and kind of what we're doing here, I mean, we're talking a ton about hunter recruitment, and it's a bigger deal than just, you know, just going to a hunting area and it being less people there. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it could be like, sweet, I got this place to myself. But the long term is so much more significant.
Yep.
From funding. I mean, we nerd out about this stuff and
funding.
have on, you know,
Big time.
the hunters are funding conservation. You know, license sales are funding state groups. yada. You know, we've got whole podcasts that nerd out on all that kind of stuff. But to your point, I think we have the infrastructure to have a new wave of hunter recruitment. I've heard some people say that they feel like COVID-19 stuff is going to cause, in general, hunter recruitment to go up. Now, I know it did during the actual quarantine because people weren't working and they had more free time.
But will it sustain, you know?
Right. But there's two ways of thought. Like, I feel like some of the people that are further disconnected from wild game as a protein source are going to see the COVID-19 thing as a deal to stay away from wildlife. This started with wildlife and humans.
Right.
This started as a wildlife-human interaction, eating interaction. So it's like, so people that are super disconnected, that really have no reference, might say, man, this is even more reason not to go in the woods, not to, stay away from all that stuff. The people that are more connected to where their meat comes from, they're a little bit more educated on where it comes from, I think it's going to push them the other way. Because, somebody eating an undercooked bat is not equivalent to us. It's not even in the same ballpark as us going out and harvesting a deer, harvesting a bear, harvesting a turkey, cooking it, processing it. I mean, it's just in a different playing field, and it's kind of hard for. I kind of want to dig into the science of why it is. I know that it is. I want to dig into the science of it. But I think it's going to push some people to, man, I better know where my meat comes from. I don't want to be taking any guesses of where my meat comes from. So that's the bigger picture of what is, because no doubt this stuff has changed the planet for good. I mean, like, this is like, that we've all heard it said. I mean, this is like 9/11 type stuff, that the earth just forever was changed after this. Well, I mean, that's what's happening. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see. I hope that it pushes people more towards, responsible outdoor recreation to gather protein, and hunting numbers increase,
Agreed. And
everybody go to Alabama and kill all Cam's turkeys.
Yeah. Honestly, if you let me hunt with you, let's do it. I just like seeing them die.
No. Well, man, Cam, thanks for, I almost had you bring your guitar. I was like,
man, if we'd have really thought about it, I guess that would have been great.
Man, I hated to ask you to do that because I didn't know if you'd be comfortable with that or not, but I wish I had.
Yeah.
We could do a live concert right here.
There's fewer situations that I'm more comfortable in than that right there. That,
no
I guess
doubt.
sitting in a tree stand, but
no doubt.
But yeah, I definitely would have done that. That would have been great.
Well, what we might do is definitely tell us how people can find your music and find you on social media and stuff.
Music, hunting, life in general, you can check me out on Instagram at Cam Spinks, Facebook, Cam Spinks, all the normals. But I would say musically, if you purchase, my music is available anywhere you purchase your music, or if you're a streamer, you can pick it up on Spotify or, any of the big ones, iTunes, Amazon, literally any music outlet known to man. I think my music is available on.
Okay.
Just search Cam Spinks and I'll be there.
What song would you tell them to go listen to?
If you're an outdoorsman and you like to hunt, I would say go listen to Got It From My Daddy. I wrote that for my dad about kind of the main things that he's instilled in us over the years, and kind of the things that he introduced us to baseball as a kid. He was always our baseball coach for years and years, and then hunting, obviously goes without say. And there's some clever little lines in there that'll make you laugh too. But yeah, that's as far as songs that mean something to me. I think that one's up there at the top somewhere. Love that song a whole lot. But so I would check that one out. But honestly, if you just like, well-written country music, just listen to my whole catalog, man. I got some pretty good stuff in there. It's not necessarily a lot of it's not what you would hear on country radio, and I'm kind of proud of that. If we're being perfectly honest, I think the radio suffers a lot at its own expense by not playing what I consider to be more sophisticated country music.
Right on. Sophisticated country music. I like it. Okay, so that's where people can find you, and they can go check out all your music. Yeah, I was searching some of your stuff earlier today. Yeah, you can find it Cam Spinks.
That's it.
Colby, what you got anything else for Cam?
I think I'm going to ask the typical question. Who are your musical influences?
My musical influences.
There
Oh
we go.
boy.
That's the question everyone was waiting.
Man,
like
yeah,
they're going to go through this whole podcast and not ask him.
You get it so often.
See,
but
I'm so not pop culture. I didn't know that I needed to ask him. You just did that.
That's fair. That's
Mr.
fair.
Backstreet Boys over here.
Oh yeah, in sync. No, I would say, I grew up on '90s country and kind of Southern rock. The Guards, the Alan Jackson, all your big time '90s. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was like a huge Waylon fan or a big Merle. I like those guys, but that's just not what I grew up on. I grew up on good, hearty '90s country. Joe Diffie, Sawyer Brown, all that good stuff. And then on kind of the classic rock side, it was Skinnerd and Allman Brothers and all that kind of stuff. But then in recent years, kind of the more modern artists that I've taken a liking to, and some of my music has been influenced by is like Jason Isbell and Cody Jinks, a lot of these Tyler Childers, a lot of these Appalachia guys, Sturgill Simpson, another Kentucky guy, Stapleton, just kind of the guys that are more edgy country, that don't stick with the mold of the Nashville mold, if you will. People that kind of do their own thing. I love that. So yeah, I would say a lot of those guys. That's what I listen to, and that's what I not necessarily try to emulate, but some of it just comes out naturally. That's because those are the sounds I'm hearing so often. That's kind of the stuff I want to incorporate in my music. So I feel like I kind of have my own sound though. Like I try not to sound like someone else.
That seems like it would be hard.
It's a lot of people. It is a lot harder. Like, let's say your voice is your voice. You can't change that much and sustain it.
You kind of got to stay inside.
You kind of have to stay in your lane. Like, your voice is going to sound like your voice.
Yeah.
And if it sounds like other people, then it sounds like other people. But if it doesn't, I think that's beneficial. I've been told on multiple occasions that you just don't sound like anyone, and I always take it as a compliment. I love hearing that. So, at least vocally,
Yeah.
So, I would say that's where all my influences lie, and kind of the lane that I'm trying to fall into.
That's good, man. What about hunting influences? I think all of us.
Oh man, hunting influence. I'm going to throw one at you that. I hope you know who it is. Dan Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Dan Fitzgerald.
That's the best thing you've said this whole podcast.
And his son's name's Guy, right?
Yep. Sure is. So I grew up on Dan Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Okay.
For the first several years of learning archery, it was all instinctive. Even with even with the little. I had a PSE Bandit compound. Didn't have a sight on it ever. I never killed a deer. I was like 8, 9 years old. I was back then. It wasn't legal unless you were pulling 35 pounds, and so I wasn't pulling 35 pounds. But that's how I learned. I learned instinctively, and later on, I did get into instinctive archery for a short period of time. I had a longbow. I didn't even go the recurve route. I went straight to long, and I got fairly proficient with it. Hunted with it several times. Never had the opportunity to kill anything, but there was a hunt where the buck was just a little further than I was comfortable with that one, and I was like, if I just had my compound, And so from then I kind of slipped back into the compound world but no, I would say Dan Fitzgerald for sure. Tim Wells more recently. I love Tim Wells, man. And then you mentioned him earlier, Steve Rinella. Yeah. I could watch and listen to Steve Rinella for days and never get tired of it.
What do you watch his stuff? Do you watch
all of his?
on Netflix,
I watch. Yeah, I've watched all of that, but then I've listened to his podcast a little bit. But mainly the stuff on Netflix. I just to be able to see it and hear it as well is just, and the things he's been able to do. And then he cooks on top of that. It's just that's another thing I love.
It's a pretty eclectic group there. Dan Fitzgerald, Tim Wells, and Steve Rinella.
And then probably the last big one. Keeping with the archery theme, I actually did I did like a sort of a senior thesis in high school on Fred Bear. Big Fred Bear guy. At some point, I'm going to get some Fred Bear tattoos. It's going to happen.
Okay.
And, you can't talk about Fred Bear without talking about Ted Nugent. I
was waiting to see if it was coming.
Love Ted Nugent and his antics. He cracks me the hell up.
You got the spirit of the wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I think I've got a Ted Nugent for President
you do.
Over on that wall over there.
I love it.
I hope it says Uncle Ted. I can't remember.
It just says Ted Nugent for president.
But and then probably another guy that I really, really, really respect, not only for his efforts in hunting and stuff, but just his conservation efforts and his depth of knowledge of hunting in so many different cultures and different places around the world is obviously Jim Shockey. I mean, that guy. If there was one hunting figure that I could just meet and sit down and have a beer with, it would be Jim Shockey.
Yeah, yeah.
Big Jim Shockey fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that guy did it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Jim Shockey for sure. Yeah.
Man, yeah, those are my guys.
Good group, yeah. That's a good.
And then if you guys have never heard of TK and Mike, I feel like you should.
Man, how old are you, Cam? You must be like exactly my age because everything you said. You're younger than me, though. I think
I'm 30.
You're way younger than me.
I'm 30 years old, but I've assembled a Porto pooper or two in my day, so I grew up on those guys as well.
TK and Mike,
love it.
Yeah, yeah.
The old WW.
The waterfowl Widowmaker. You see him geese up there? Where? You don't see him geese? Give me that thing.
That's good.
Love
that's
it.
Good. That's good.
What about the misadventures of Bubba?
Oh my God.
Jim Varney?
Oh man.
That's funny.
Yeah, those were classics.
Oh, that's good, man. Well, hey, thanks a ton for coming out here and meeting with us, man.
Man, anytime.
It's been an enjoyable conversation, and
likewise.
And man, congratulations on I'm always like I'm always consciously like perusing media, trying to see a hunting figure in mainstream media. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what caught my eye, even though they didn't say you were a hunter, but I knew you were a hunter.
Oh yeah.
They didn't want
me talking about that.
Well, even to the point in part of Blake's deal that he did, he had like some deer mounts or something in the back and behind him.
Yep. He sure
and
did.
I was like, hey, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Super mainstream outlet, like kind of being okay with like a deer head. Like I think that's a win. But no, anyway, just congratulations on
thank you
on going as far as you did on The Voice and just your career in music and stuff. And man, I really do wish you the best up here in Northwest Arkansas.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I know you're new up here and
getting my feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But right on, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to?
Man, I'm sure your listeners have heard it once or twice before, but I am thoroughly impressed with this room and its decor.
Yeah, thanks, man.
It's intriguing, man. And like I said, having never bear hunted before, I'm anxious to jump into that world as well.
Yeah.
Just another thing to spend my money on, you know.
Yeah.
Another thing for my fiance to get mad about.
Right on. Right on.
I'm sure y'all don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Well, no, pleasure to have you, and yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure. And yeah, check out Cam Spinks, look him up, look up his music, and yeah, keep the wild places wild because that's where the Bears live.
Heard that.
I've got an old F-100 Model 64, original coat of red paint, and 3 on the floor. People try to buy her off of me, but I'll never sell that old machine. I got it from my daddy. Somewhere in my closet is my old baseball glove. For most boys it's a warm-up, that game was my first love. I never got to play it past 18, but I've got this guitar and another dream, and I got it from my daddy. Got it from my daddy. I ain't scared to get a little dirty, and my forehead is bigger than it used to be. I'm stubborn as the day is long, and it's how I'll always be. And I got it from my daddy. Got it from my daddy. That rifle in the corner, it's a 243, and it's killed a bunch of whitetails all across the southeast. Me and that gun have made some memories. I've got a passion for the great outdoors in me. I got it from my daddy. I got it from my daddy. I ain't scared to get a little dirty. My forehead is bigger than it used to be. I'm southern as the day is long, and it's how I'll always be. I got it from my daddy. Yeah, I got it from my daddy.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew, Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.